This video will cover M through P, the capital letters in Faux Calligraphy. So we have our baseline and header line. This is where our lowercase letters would fit. For the M, I'm going to make a very basic M shape where I'm just going to go up, down, and my main lines are following the slant lines. So this was an upstroke and this was a downstroke, so I'll add some shading to the downstroke. Now here I just made a horizontal line coming out, and then you can either make this come back and meet here and become a triangle, or follow this line and be parallel and make it more of a rectangle shape. It's up to you. I'm going to bring it kind of in a triangle shape, and then we came back up and down. Now for this one you can do the same thing where you make it more triangle shape, but I'm actually going to make it a long rectangle since it's the kind of like the backbone of that shape, or of that letter. The next version of the M is going to start with our main stem that we've seen in a lot of capital letters already. And next we're going to start at the header line right here and make an overturn that extends downward towards the baseline. So right now it's an overturn, but then I'm just going to keep going and make a straight line down that follows the slant line. And then here I'm going to start with an overturn that turns into an underturn at that point. So this is really like a compound curve shape, or you can think of it as an overturn here and an underturn directly below it. We saw this in the capital A. And then a little entry element on the left. Now I'm going to shade this underturn on the inside of the curve, and then shade the compound curve. Okay, the next time is pretty tricky to make. Again, it's based kind of on the copper plate style. And I'm going to start by making a downstroke, even though I'm actually going to be thinking of this as going up, down, just like this one. The shading is going to be on this stroke and this stroke. But this first stroke is difficult to make going upward, so I'm going to start by going downward. And it just comes down and then curves at the end. So you could start here and then come up, but I find it easier to just come down for that stroke. Okay, now the next stroke is kind of difficult, and right now we've been making all these lines slanted, but the next one you want to make perpendicular to the baseline. So that would be like at this angle. So if this is a right angle to the baseline, we've been making everything at this angle, but now we want to come straight down. And this line is going to have a little bit of a wave to it. You can think of it as kind of being like an S shape, but in general it goes down. And then I'm going to make that same shape and follow it down to the baseline. I think I should have made this one a little less curved and gone down so that it meets at a point. Okay, and then the next one, we're going to start here and just come up in a thin line. And then we're going to finish with an underturn shape that starts up here and then just comes down and back up. I'm going to add a little teardrop here. So once again, I want to think of this as being an upstroke. Then here we have a downstroke that's kind of wavy, another thin upstroke, and then this is like an underturn shape. So here's our underturn, but it starts up here. Okay, so it's a pretty difficult letter to make. The three versions of the N are going to pretty closely match these versions of the M. So this one is going to start, I'm going to go down, but I want to think of it as being an upstroke, down, and back up. And here I'm going to draw a horizontal line. Again, you can come down and make this a rectangle or more of a triangle shape, like that. The next one is going to start with our main stem shape, and then finish with this same shape that we saw in the M, where we start here and make an overturn and then an underturn below it. Add the shading, and then add this entry element shape. Okay, now the third N is also going to be pretty difficult to draw, kind of like the M was. We're going to start the same way with this shape. I'm going to start it at the top and come down and then curve out. Now this line that comes down on the M, we tried to make it perpendicular. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm kind of making it coming down a little bit out to the right. This is where we will add our shade. And then finish with a thin line that goes up, and then I'm just going to curve out a little bit at the top. So the first one is just very basic, just a large oval. We always shade our ovals the same way. The next one is going to start the same, and then I'm going to come up and loop around. Then I'm going to add my shading right here. So if you started this over far enough, you could add it like you did here, but I'm going to make a horizontal line, or I guess it's not horizontal, it's angled. And then add my shade, then follow through with that part. So again, start here, come up, go up high enough, and then to the left enough so that you can meet it right here and then go back through. Okay, now this one I'm going to start by making an oval shape that curves back inward. So I came back up, but not quite back to the ascending line, and then spiral back inward. And then at this point, I'm gonna come back around and through the right-hand side of the oval. These versions of the P that I'm gonna show you are pretty similar to the B that we already made in the first capital video. So again, we start with our main stem, and then we make basically just like the first loop of a B. I'm going to add that shape that we've seen a couple times already and shade on the inside of the curve. Now this P, I'm purposely going to make it shorter than the ascender line. And I'll start it over here and loop up and over. Again, I'll add my shading on the inside. Our last P, which again is based on a copperplate style, is going to start with this shape that is like our elongated curve. I'm going to add my curved line and teardrop shape. And then just like the B, it's gonna match this shape pretty closely, except starting spiraled in more. So I'm gonna start here and make an oval shape and then go into that shape. So starting here, make an oval shape and then continue around that. This was a downstroke, so I'm gonna add a curved line, and then on this P, you can shade the inside, or it kind of looks like I might need to actually shade the outside of it, because if I shade the inside, then it might start getting, this gap won't be large enough. So in this set of letters, the M and the N, these styles are probably the most tricky to make.